Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Cosplay Crunch. Each week, we sit down and talk about all things cosplay, including personal experiences, useful tips and advice, horror stories and hot takes, and sometimes the latest news and drama. I'm your host, Zavage Cosplay, and this week on the podcast, we have the amazingly talented photographer, videographer extraordinaire, media mogul to the gods, Mineralblu. Welcome.
Wow, what an introduction.
I'm so happy you're here, and you deserve no less of an introduction because, you know, I think I would be surprised, but if I wouldn't have known you for as long as I have, but knowing that you've always been like the it photographer, it's a deserving title. I think. I think it can make you a ribbon if you want to.
Oh, I appreciate it. No, I don't know if I'm the it photographer. I've just been around for a long time.
You're the old
Yeah.
photographer. How about that?
I'm one of the OGs, I think, at this point.
I think so too. We're gonna get into all of that too. But no, thank you for being on. When we started this podcast, it's called the Cosplay Crunch, which is true. Its main focus is cosplay, but I did want to have people that I know are influential and have had experiences through the community for a long time. And I wanted to make sure that we had cosplay photographer representation on the first season at the very least, because they're so important and they actually document the convention experience. Like, who better to ask about the spectrum of cosplay than the people that have been documenting it for so long.
Yeah.
So,
And you and I go way back too. So, yeah.
so far. And oh yeah, it's so actually we're gonna go back even further than when we met, to start with. But we're gonna go back to how the hell did you even get into conventions and photography? Did they happen at the same time, or did one come first?
What came first? So I am a lawyer by trade. And so what came out of law school, I worked for ADV Films, which is based in Houston. And I was in their copyright division. And so at that time, I didn't have a camera. But they were like, hey, there's a convention going on this weekend in Houston. Feel free to check it out. We're a vendor there. Here's some, pick some badges. So I was like, all right. So I went and checked it out. That was like back in 2008. Hung out there with my then significant other. And yeah, basically I was just hanging out. I was a casual fan. It wasn't until 2 years later that I got a camera for my birthday. I think, yeah, roughly 1.5, 2 years later. And then I was like dabbling a little bit here and there on like random things like local events, Yelp events, things like that, nightclubs, the prototypical beginner photographer track, trying to do weddings, things like that. And then I think it was 2011. There was a convention near my house, basically, that was like at the near NRG Stadium.
Which one? What was it called?
It was the 2011 Anime Map Series.
Wait, the rodeo one? The
rodeo one.
Oh my god!
That was literally within walking distance of where I live. And so yeah, so I was like, you know what? It's a good opportunity to meet some new people, bring my camera gear, and I basically didn't know anybody. I just set up shop like in the hallway. Didn't know what I was doing. Like I just set up like a little beauty dish and like a tiny little photo booth in the hallway, and just started, hey, can I take your photo? Hey, can I take your photo? And then I just published. Oh, and then I took some photos of the cosplay contest, and that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then posted that all to my website and Facebook, tagged Anime Met Siri, and then tagged some of the people that were in the contest. Yeah, and then that pretty much was started my cosplay photography thing.
Oh my god. The rodeo, the Anime Matsuri Rodeo Con in 2011 started the whole Mineralblu journey.
Pretty much. And then the following year, I think it was at the Marriott in the Woodland, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I met more people there, and each year just kind of met more and more people, basically.
Gotcha. So 2011. So at that point in time, do you remember your first camera that you like started using when you first started shooting cosplay, I guess, that year?
Yeah, it was a Canon 40D.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, with a kit lens, I think. I might have rented a lens too. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I have a Canon. It's old. It's a Canon 60 or 70D.
Okay.
And I feel like it's either user error or it's just the time that we're in and how old the camera is. But I feel like my iPhone can sometimes take better photos.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that I was pretty happy with the photos I took that year. I mean, I actually had like light fans and stuff, and like
Yeah.
I actually had like fully lit. I mean, I brought a beauty dish. I brought one of those like ring flashes. I was just like trying new toys just to because I had like a whole bunch of people to like test it on that I didn't normally have. So I was like, hey, let me shoot. Yeah.
I love that. Well, I mean, your proclivity to be trying new toys at conventions has not quelled over the years because I feel like every time I see you, you have some new gimbal or some new like
Oh
camera
yeah,
toy that you're like spinning around.
it's definitely been an evolution, that's for sure, over the years. I
Oh
was
my
gonna say,
gosh.
I wonder if the 2011 pictures are on my website
Your
still.
website? Well, that's the problem. So I was on your website and I tried to go to your photos and like go back like to the very beginning. It's like there's 52 pages of like convention coverage photo pages and I
Theoretically.
hit 52 and the website. Oh wait, no, it did it. Wait.
So I'm on my website right now.
Okay, yeah,
Was
I
it?
am too. Captain America. Okay, I'm all the way back to the last page, and it has like Captain America, Winter Soldier. But if I keep going forward in
Oh,
time,
there are photos. Well, there's photos from that series 2014, 2013. Oh, that was when they were at the 2013 was when they were at the downtown Hyatt in Houston.
oh yeah. That's true. With the elevators that like
That
were
was the
kind of
Heroes of
nightmarish.
Cosplay year. Yeah.
That was.
For some reason, there's an error going back further than that.
I know that it's like there's too much information. The website's
Oh no,
overloading.
I've never had to go back that far.
We don't go that far. We don't dig that deep into Pandora's box. We kind of just leave it there and let the
That's a
dust collect.
forgotten history. Oh, actually, if I type in 2011, let me see here. Oh, actually, no. If you just search for 2011, it shows some of the shows some of the stuff from like, yeah, 2011 Anime
Oh my
Matsuri.
gosh, wait. Oh my gosh. Mineralblu Photography, Anime Matsuri Shoot Series 304 cosplay show. Is this it?
Yeah,
Oh my god. And it has the
I
photos.
even shot the J Fashion show that year.
Look at your font. Your logo is like crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was still like a relatively new photographer at the time. I'd only been shooting for like 2 years, but I was pretty kind of full of myself at the time. I was like, man, I'm making art here.
Oh my god, love the artistry, the photo artistry being presented at Anime
Man, I'm looking
Matsuri
back,
2011.
like looking at the stage photos. I'm like, I've got heavy vignetting going on in the corners. Man, this is like
It's delicious.
early photography. Oh, there's Matthew Mercer on the stage. Man,
Is he emceeing?
I think so. Yeah, he's up there. Yeah, this is like old school. This is early Houston cosplay history. Yeah.
Oh my god, I love. Wait, so okay, how did your I know that many people might not know this. Your friends probably do, but you have cosplayed before.
I mean, I've done like Halloween stuff. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
I remember you cosplayed. I was not there, obviously, because by the time we met, you had not cosplayed, but you have done Jack Skellington
Yeah,
before.
that was a Halloween costume. I actually made that was before I did photography. Yeah, I did what was it? I found like one line, this giant foam head hollow sphere. Um I was able to like cut eyes and I like hot glued chiffon on it and like I like won a contest, like a bar contest for Halloween. I was selling the heads on like eBay and like
Stop.
Craigslist, yeah. And then
You were mass producing them?
yeah, well, I don't know about mass producing, but I was like Etsy, like before Etsy, and then I was making them and selling them. And then the following year, I made more money off of Jack in the Box head because it was the same template of just a big spearhead. Which I just instead of black and white, I used. It was actually easier because Jack in the Box. I used foam paper for like the hat. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I was like crafting back then.
Wait a minute. So you were doing your lawyer stuff by day, and then you were doing your photography stuff by night, and then somehow in the middle you were making mascot heads sometimes.
Well, yeah, the mascot heads were like back in like 2008 or not. Well, it was a long. I only did it for
Okay.
like 2 3 years, and I was like,
Gotcha.
this is not worth it. It was so much work.
But you're an award-winning cosplayer.
This was like years ago. This was
You're
like
an award-winning cosplayer.
when I first started out. I was
That
like,
needs to be on
I
your
was at like a
Instagram.
downtown bar and like, hey, it's Jack Skellington. Got on stage and won first place. Yeah.
Oh my god, love your best. You've won best in show. That's what we're gonna go with. That's the
Yeah.
storyline that we're gonna go with. That's
I mean, I had like
incredible.
skeleton hands and everything. Yeah. I wonder if
I
I can
love
find.
that.
I can send it to you if you want. Let
Yeah,
me
send
see
me it.
here.
No, I love seeing. Well, I know this doesn't really count in the same way, but like I love seeing everyone's first foray into making their own costumes because I feel like regardless of the spectrum of how much you did or didn't do, it always looks phenomenal. It's always fun
Yeah.
to see. Just like, oh my god, that is something I put on my body.
Yeah. It's I was. I mean, honestly, I was pretty proud of myself back then. Yeah, I was very happy with the photo, with
Oh my god,
the craftsmanship in my work.
the
I
craftsmanship
mean, I
and
went to
the
like
craftsmanship.
Joann's. I felt like found the right fabric that was like black yet see through. Yeah, it was.
Oh my god, I love. No, but send me that picture. Also, side note for the listeners and the viewers, Long actually is in a tea house right now because his internet was not working and his power was out, and he literally drove to a tea house to do this podcast because we keep missing each other, and I
I mean, to be
appreciate
fair,
it
I live
so
like a
much.
block away from the tea house, so yeah, it wasn't
But
too bad.
still, no, it's just hilarious because like I see like figures moving in the background, and I have cats in the background sometimes, but I don't have like people. It's like, where is he? No.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay,
it's
so
actually a pretty packed yeah floor. There's actually every table is taken.
oh my
Here I am in the
god.
corner with my camera and my laptop.
I love that. They'll never know. They'll never know. Hey, you bought tea. That's all that matters. Okay, so I want to talk about your photography style. So I feel like, well, barring those photos from 2011, which we just looked at with the vignettes and everything, I feel like since about maybe 2013, 2014, you've had a very distinguished photography style. And when I see your photos, I think of like lots of natural light. I think of lots of softness. And I think that while your aesthetic has been maybe more refined since you've done photography, it's still very like pronounced. And I think I can recognize a mineral blue photo just by looking at it personally.
Yeah.
How do you think that your style has changed over time slightly? And like, how has like your editing kind of changed in your process?
Yeah. No, I agree. I think definitely the natural light has definitely been my I think dominant preference over the years. Like I said, when I first started off, I was experimenting with lighting and things like that. I think 2013, I went to New York Comic Con for the first time in 13, and I even brought like light stands with me to that convention all the way from to New York. Um, and I was just like, this is it's not worth it. Like I was just so tired of carrying all this gear, and I was like, I'm just gonna try to focus on lighting, like natural light, putting people in the right spots, um, putting in like a nice complementary background, or at least something that's not as distracting. Nowadays with the video and stuff, I'm more doing more of the like the hall photography type stuff. But even then, I am mindful. Even in the videos nowadays, I'm still kind of mindful of making sure that the person I'm shooting is in the foreground is, and anything in the background that's distracting is kept to a minimum. And so,
Mhm.
and then there's the composition, the clean composition that's always been a factor in all my photography and the videos as well. That I've been trying to at least maintain.
Yeah, I think that a big thing with photography, and I have not done nearly as much photography as obviously as you have or many other people, but composition is so important in a photo. Lighting is obviously key, but I think composition of a photo is really important because even before you edit the photo, if you can compose the photo well and get the angles right, and you can remove the distractions to minimize edits, and you can really take good angles. I think that's a big part of it. But also, hot take, I feel like most of the time when a photographer brings out a flash, I get so scared I piss because I feel like I feel like the odds of getting a photo back of my cosplay with a flash where I look good is like slim compared to a photo that's just done with natural light.
What's crazy now is that the flash photography is coming back. It's a retro look, right? People are coming back to like cons with like the '90s, early aughts, like film cameras with the frontal flash to get that retro look, basically. And so,
Oh my
like, I saw
god.
people go to ASIN recently, when they brought like a little 35 millimeter like handheld like disposable camera, and they posted that album on Facebook, and it was like hilarious. Like, they made their album look like vintage cosplayers from like 30 years ago, basically. But it was kind of funny to kind of see that come full circle back to like just straight up, candid, like front flash, like deer in headlight look, basically.
Honestly, that's amazing, and I love that. But I will say also ASEN, we talked about this before on a previous episode, but ASEN's convention center, the Rosemont Convention Center, is not a nice, hospitable location for photos. It's kind of
Yeah,
dungeonous, and there's like very little natural light, very little places to take photos. It's all like darkness and like overhead lighting and like I don't know. I feel like that's a proper place for some flash photography with a
yeah,
disposable camera.
yeah. I went to ASIN last year, and yeah, all of my photos that I was really happy with were not taken inside. They were
Yeah.
like at the Hyatt or at the park, or like in the driveway in front of the convention center.
Isn't that wild? Yeah, I
That
agree.
little semicircle driveway where everyone just hangs out in front. Yeah,
Right, right. No, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I think that I don't know, that convention center is just kind of whack, but I kind of love the disposable camera like fantasy. That's kind of fun. I don't know.
yeah. So I mean that's, and then nowadays it's like even video, like people there's filters for like VHS style filters and stuff like that. So I mean the kids these days they've got they're fixated on the retro stuff now. For like the '90s are
The early
back, 2000s are back.
right,
It's
everything's coming
kind of
back from
wild.
before. I know.
Yeah.
So speaking of videography, I think your first video, well, I think your first cosplay video I saw on YouTube was in 2014 from San Diego Comic-Con. Is that right?
Yeah, that was the first video on the channel, at least the
On the
first
channel.
official cosplay video. Yeah,
Had you taken any before that, or was that like your first one that you can
I think that
remember?
was the first one. Mainly because before that I was mainly focused on photography. Um, yeah, it was my first time in San Diego. 2014. Yeah, so yeah, before that, 2013 New York was my first time out of Texas for a convention. But I
Oh.
only shot photos there. And then 2013, 2014, yeah, 2014 San Diego, I did a video. Can't remember if it was 13 or 14 that I did Otakon as well. That was my first and only time to Otakon. But yeah, 14 was the first time I did video. And up until like from 14 to like almost through 16, I'd say, video was more of like I'm doing the photo shoots, and then after the photo shoots, I'm just gonna take some derpy stuff to like document the
Yes.
moment. And so yeah, so if you look at the videos from like 2014 to 2016, they're mostly quick cuts, almost cringy, derpy videos that are just like a compilation of everybody being silly and stupid, basically.
Well, because I remember back in like 2015, 2014, 2015, 2016, like the time frame you're referencing, you would do like full on like cosplay photo shoots.
Yeah,
Like if like maybe not like, not like extensive, but if it would be like a 30-minute to an hour long, like, hey, like let's go shoot
yeah,
something, like most photographers do today, right?
yeah,
And then you would do like a photo shoot, and then sure, you take some video of the convention, take some quick
yeah,
video of a cosplay. But what was that like? I guess what kind of steered the transition to you like almost inverting that, where now I
yeah,
feel like you're more video focused and you'll do like one quick photo of the
yeah.
cosplay.
So when I first started doing photos from like 2011 through 2014 or 15, I'd say. Yeah, I would do full on photo shoots with people. I would try to get them a full set of like at least, 10, 12 photos, for their time. And that was great. People got some great photos out of that. Basically, yeah, so with that, the backlog just started to build and build. And so I was getting to the point where I was like not, yeah, I was like delivering photos like months later. It was just like, and I don't know if you know the stress of having a backlog.
I don't. So okay, I feel like cosplay photography is like the inverse of what's it called? Of cosplaying, because when you're a cosplayer, you have the stress of budgeting all your time up until the convention and like working on all your costumes, and you almost have like a backlog in a sense of just all the work you have to get done for the event. And the cosplay photographers have the inverse, where they show up with an empty SD card and full battery, and then by the time they leave they have like a month's work of homework that they have to take with them to
Yeah.
execute on.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah. So having a backlog is a terrible feeling, especially if it's like hanging on creeping up on you for like months on end. And so,
Right. Well, then if you're also doing full sets, you owe people, like, not you owe them, because like a lot of times, you're doing photo shoots for
mhm,
friends and like you're just editing it that for them. Sometimes they're paying you, but like I feel like there is an expectation that, oh, I got these photos, I'm excited to have the photos, and then the longer and longer you wait, it's that gnawing like kind
yeah,
of, oh, I really should get to this, but it's a whole lot of work,
yeah,
right? Especially if you're doing like 10 to 12 photos, right?
yeah. So the stress of just it creeping, just mounting in the background, it's just not a good feeling. So at one point, I was like, instead of having people wait for months at a time, um, I'm just gonna like, hey, edit one really good photo per person and get that out to them as soon as possible. And then once that is out, then I can they're at least happy for like a little bit until I can get the full set edited. Um, and then so even if I did take like weeks, if not months later, at least I had that one photo to like enjoy and at least while the zeitgeist, while the memory is still fresh,
Right. They're satiated and at least for
yeah.
the moment
So
quelled.
yeah, so then it came to the point where I was like, people really only cared about that initial photo anyways. So I just focused on so those preview albums became almost the album for the convention of like 30 or 40 people that I shot that weekend. And so eventually it got to the point where I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna focus on getting one good photo, not promise like a full photo set, and just that'll be my photo coverage for the weekend. And especially as I move towards video, the video at least allowed me to cover more ground by making sure that I got as many people as possible in the video clip, even if I didn't do a full photo shoot with them. So that would
Mhm.
maximize my ability to like meet as many people, shoot some of the stuff that I thought was really cool that maybe I didn't want to spend like 30 minutes to do a full photo shoot with, but at least, put them in the video and say, hey, this is really cool. Can I just get a quick clip? And so that's how eventually, at some point, it just kind of morphed from like, hey, let me do a photo shoot with you to like, hey, let me just get a quick photo of you to, hey, let me get a quick video of you and one photo of you. And now it's like, let me do a quick video clip. And these days, the photos are actually like a very low priority for most people. Um, I mean, if anything, I do a photo because I still work with Kotaku nowadays, and so they'll
Right.
they'll use a photo gallery for me. But then otherwise, the video is the primary focus point, and I might use the photos for the Kotaku gallery, or I might use the photos for like the thumbnail. Um, but the main gist of it is the video because YouTube makes it worth. YouTube, the ad revenue makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, the AdSense from YouTube, I hear at least through the grapevine is decent, but it's different than TikTok for sure. But I think, would you consider that people now are more used to posing and taking videos in 2024 than they were back in like
Yeah.
2017? Has like the, I guess, the expectation of cosplayers and like what they're willing and how they conduct themselves in front of a camera, has that changed at
Um,
all?
I think especially with the younger generation, they are definitely more used to video. Because nowadays, they're used to like TikTok and Instagram Reels. So it's not a big deal for them to like, hey, let me get a quick, 3, 4 second clip of you posing real quick, and they're like, that's fine. Um, yeah, I'd say it's definitely easier nowadays because video is so much more prevalent. And with social media, video is just almost expected at this point for a lot of kids these days. Um, yeah, I mean, videos like even crappy quality videos like normal for them because all they want to do is capture like their little meme worthy like skits or their little dances. So it's
Right.
like cell phone cameras are really what they're all that is all they need. And so especially from a photography standpoint, that they're seeing a lot of photographers nowadays are seeing that high quality photography isn't as important as it used to be, basically.
Oh my gosh. One thing, I just noticed thunder behind you. That's hilarious. Or lightning.
Yeah.
But also, would you say that like when you record a cosplay video, are you doing this landscape or portrait or both? Or like how are you like
Um,
capturing this footage?
I'm shooting landscape, but I'm shooting it in 4K, so I can crop it down portrait for like Instagram Reels because Reels doesn't really care about super high quality anyways, because most people are watching them on a phone. So, for Reels and TikToks that I do, I mean, it's probably like 1080 on the side, for
Mhm.
just for mobile. Maybe I'll do 4K every now and then for portrait, but the vast majority of the time, landscape is for YouTube in the highest quality, and then I'll crop it portrait style for whatever reels I'm doing.
Gotcha. So how did going back to like you mentioned Kotaku, how did that start? Because I will tell you from at least my recollection, what had happened was there was one day, I think there was like an article posted, and it was like they always use a similar title. I think it's like the best cosplay of I don't
Okay,
know, Comic Palooza,
yeah,
Comic Palooza 2015. And I like was like, "Oh, what's this?" And I looked at it and I was like, these are Long's
yeah.
photos. What's happening? Like, what is going
It's
on? So,
funny
like,
though.
can you
It's
talk
funny though
about
that
how
they
it
they
started?
that you mentioned that title because they initially started saying that, and then I was like, you know what? Maybe we should like dial it down. So if you notice, I think after like the first year or two, they eventually changed it to the best cosplay we saw at this convention. So no one could
Uh,
complain and moan about, oh, who are these people to judge what was the best cosplay? Because
it's it,
I mean, honestly, I mean, it is the best in my opinion that I saw. So, yeah. But
right.
I'm trying to think, how did that get started? Oh, so it was I know how it is. At Colossicon back in 2015 or 16, I think. So there's a bunch of cosplayers that we were friends with. Basically, what happened was we decided to do a group submission to Kotaku. So a bunch of photographers, a bunch of cosplayers. I forget why or how it was submitted, but basically, or there's even a theme. There might have been a theme. I'm trying to remember, but
Did
basically,
they like post something asking like, "Oh, hey, submit your cosplay photos," or what was like the
so
prompt?
so so I think one of the photographers had an in with the editor at Kotaku, and they were basically like saying, "Hey, um, I think prior to that, there were some attempts at like doing like a math like shoot photographer compilation thing. Um, I think there were some failed efforts here and there, like on Kickstarter and things like that. But this was like I think the first coordinated effort to kind of get a bunch of photographers and a bunch of cosplayers together to do a full on convention like group thing. And
Mm-hmm.
I could have sworn it might have been Pokemon. I think I don't know, like Pokemon Gajikos or something like that. But anyways, so we
Okay.
all submitted. A bunch of us submitted like photos of our cosplayers and the photographers as well, and everyone was credited. And then, so basically from that, I think I got to know the editor myself, and then I reached out. I think I reached out to him and say, "Hey, I noticed that you've been posting and sharing cosplay content." He was a really big fan. He was developing a cosplay section on Kotaku. I was like, "Hey, I'm going to this convention. I can submit photos if you'd like." And so, yeah, okay. So I think through 2015 to through 2017, I was taking a lot of photos and submitting them to Kotaku for articles. During that period of time, I was also working with Cosplay Culture magazine, which is now no longer
Oh,
around. But back then,
yeah.
I was also shooting photos for Taco USA, which is still around. Um, so yeah, I was doing content for like print and online. And then Kotaku was just like the one that kind of still stuck around after all those years, regardless of whatever you may think of Kotaku as a whole. The editor was really supportive of his cosplay section for us. So it just got to the point where I was just like being regularly submitting photos for different. I went from the unofficial photographer Kotaku to becoming the official photographer because for like about a year or two, they actually paid me as a contractor for Kotaku.
Oh.
So I was actually paid by Kotaku to shoot and submit
Oh, wow.
photo galleries from each convention. Um, Kotaku's gone through some management and ownership changes over the years, so they no longer pay me, but I still submit. galleries to them these days, because yeah, the current editor took over from the previous editor, and they're still supportive of cosplay. So yeah, I still submit photos for the major conventions, that are worth their time, I guess, at least.
Oh, gotcha. That's crazy. So that's interesting how that all started and how, yeah, Kotaku has, I mean, and for anyone who doesn't know, Kotaku, how would you describe it succinctly? Like an online nerdy
Yeah, I
like
mean, it's definitely
publication
more of a
and web.
gamer publication. It's focused more towards the gaming, but being Kotaku, it does highlight like pop culture, like anime, things like that.
Right.
Yeah, so things that fall into like, so I mean, they are Kotaku, so otaku's in their name, so they do cover
Right.
like Japanese like stuff. And so yeah, so because they do share a parent company with a bunch of other blogger type sites, and they're I think one of the other sites is like their sister site is IO9, just does like geek stuff as well. And so
Mhm.
that site's also done cosplay stuff, but not to the extent that Kotaku has done as well. So I mean, Kotaku's when and the other thing that it's a symbiotic relationship, right? So I guess I'd consider myself a freelance contributor to Kotaku, especially nowadays since I technically am free. But in return, since am basically their still their official media person, yeah, I carry the weight of Kotaku's reach with me when I apply for press
Mm.
to various conventions, especially the big ones. And so, like New York
Mm.
Comic Con, 222, certain conventions are more lenient when it comes to press and media, and other conventions are much more strict about who they give press to. And so, for those conventions,
Yeah.
I lean on Kotaku's power to like, hey, I work for Kotaku. They're like, what's your reach? And I'm like, 10 million per month. And they're like, okay, here's a badge. Yeah, basically. Yeah. So.
That's actually a great segue because I want to talk about that. So, you mentioned press badges, which is definitely something that I don't know if a lot of the listeners of Cosplay Crunch are as familiar with, because I think we're familiar with guest badges and like industry badges, maybe if you're like working as a cosplayer for a company at a convention like Anime Expo. But press badges are specifically for people like you, like photographers that are publishing onto
Yeah.
websites, or even if they're publishing onto their own websites. What was your first press badge that you remember getting?
Um, it was probably for Anime Matsuri. Yeah, for most of the Texas cons, I was able to get press accreditation. For the most part, I had started to gather a pretty good social media following at that point, whether it be Facebook or Instagram, but definitely not YouTube at that time. But for the local conventions, for the smaller conventions, I was able to leverage that reach. At the time, even if I wasn't like a huge cosplayer, at least I had the eyeballs coming, and I was promoting these conventions, whether it be Comic Palooza or Anime Matsuri or PAX South. Bringing that cachet of that cache of local eyeballs helped bring in attendance, I think. Um, I think
Right.
over time, as I started to reach out to the bigger conventions, um, I think it definitely needed to become more of a professional type of outlet, not just social media. And then definitely as I have evolved over the years, I've noticed that some conventions definitely don't give out as much press for like just photographers in general. Like they know that there's a photographer. Just because you're a photographer doesn't necessarily get you a press badge. So some of the photographers have followed my lead in terms of building their own website, publishing their photos, and writing articles on their own website or for other websites to kind of help add credibility to their application. Um, my
Mm.
entire website was started just so I could try to get press for San Diego. Basically, from the very beginning, I was writing blog articles about random movies, movie trailers, whatever was going on in the world of geek culture. I was purely posting just so that way within like when the time push came to shove and I had to write my application for San Diego, I would at least have I wasn't just applying as a photographer or some influencer that that was still a new term back in 2014. um
Oh my
yeah, I would
gosh.
say I'm online press. I have a website, here are the articles that I wrote, and yeah, sure enough, I got press badges for San Diego. So the
See, that's the long game. That's playing
so
the long
ironically,
game.
that was such a long game that all these other conventions fell in line before that to give me press badges. That San Diego was just like the end result. But by the time that San Diego gave me a press badge, um, yeah, I was already established as a press outlet in itself, basically.
That is so
And
funny.
then once I started collaborating with Kotaku, um, yeah, the press thing was still pretty significant, especially when they needed like metrics, like monthly numbers and things like that for visit, website traffic and things like that. Which cons like Repop, and even I think AX, they emphasize like we need to know like we need to see your articles and we need to see what is your monthly traffic things. And so now I've gotten to the point where I've been doing this for a couple of years now. So when they ask for previous articles, I either show them my previous articles from my website or from Kotaku. And it's, and my name's been established enough at this point that I'm pretty sure the press departments at like San Diego already know who I am. So at this point, because they've probably seen the articles.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that one day you can bring your army of mineral rangers?
Yeah. So, I mean, technically, I am bringing a small army of people to like Anime Expo, and so
Oh,
yeah,
really?
well, just as press correspondents, but like they're all assistants basically, and so
Mm-hmm.
and different conventions have different, I guess, leeway. So Anime Expo, they allowed me to bring more people under my umbrella. Other conventions are like you get one, you get maybe two badges, and so and then you have conventions like ColossalCon, which have kind of morphed to the point where we know that there's a bunch of photographers coming. So they made like a separate badge just for photographers only. And so they'll charge like
Mm.
a smaller fee for the photographers than the regular congoer, but it's a photography badge. And so
Oh.
I think I still follow under press badge for them, but they know that there's like, and especially when you got cons like ColossalCon and KatsuCon, there's now a whole legion of like photographers who are charging for their work at these conventions.
Right.
So they know that they're there to like create content, and so the conventions are adapting to that as well.
Interesting. So, would you say that most conventions you attend now are press badge conventions?
Yeah, I would say. Wait, for me personally, this press.
Yeah, like the ones that you go to, like are most time when you go to conventions, are you attending as like with a
Oh
press, like
yeah,
as press badge, and like take in you're always documenting the
yeah,
convention. You're always taking videos of the cosplays,
yeah,
and you're always getting that gallery
yeah. I
made.
want to
But
say
would you say that most time it's
yeah,
press?
I haven't paid for a badge personally for a convention that I'm covering. Probably in like since it's the first year I started.
So, wait, since when was 2011?
Yeah, I don't pay for badges ever.
I don't pay for
What are you
badges.
talking about?
Bitch, okay, rewind it back to when I said you were the it girl of cosplay photographers. I don't pay for badges. I just
I
get them
don't.
thrown at me like dollar bills in a strip
The
club.
only badges I pay for these days are conventions that I go to for fun that I don't shoot at. So
Mm.
like Gen Con, like
Oh
the Board
yeah.
King convention, I'm not gonna be pressed there. I mean, I could have been.
You're a big board
Yeah,
game
if I'm going
fan.
there for fun, right? So
Yeah.
I'm actually just an attendee. Like I could. I mean, there was some cosplay there, and I could have applied to be pressed there, but I'm like, I'm not gonna spend time trying to create content. I'm here to like just have fun.
It's for fun. It's for board games and it's for enjoyment purposes, I think purely. I think some people do cosplay there, but it's very much the vast minority from what I have heard from friends that have gone. And mama, the costume contest that year that they did, let's let the audience vote for best in show, and the children ended up winning. Did you see that?
No, but it's interesting. It's I mean, it is just for fun. That's the thing about it.
It's just for
Yeah,
fun. It's just for fun. Yeah, but that was hilarious when I was like, because I was like, oh, what is Gen Con about? And obviously, when I look at conventions, I'm mostly looking through the lens of a cosplayer. I mean, I personally do enjoy PAX and like video game oriented conventions more so for the content. Honestly, the reason I go to anime conventions and Comic Cons is usually for cosplaying and cosplaying in itself and not really for like the programming
Yeah.
and such. But I remember looking at Gen Con and then watching the video on the YouTube, and it was like this guy in some like tabletop RPG, like big build with like all kinds of like bullshit happening. And it looked phenomenal, at least from a video. And then they had, for some reason, God knows why, they had the youth division with like the trio from Full Metal Alchemist, like the children, like the
Yeah.
8-year-olds next to him. And then they were like, oh, this is for best in show
How
somehow.
do
Let's
you
let the
think? Is
audience
there even a?
vote.
I don't think there's a prize. There's like a.
Oh, is there not?
There might be like a certificate, but it really is just for fun.
Yeah.
Like there's really like I think I went with my friend and she was like, "Should I cosplay?" But I was like, "You probably would if you cosplayed and put a little bit of effort into it. You probably win regardless." And she was like, "All right, let me think about it." And I was like, "But what do I win?" And she was asking online, like on the forums and the Facebook pages, and they were like, "Honestly, no one knows what you win. I think it's just with a love of winning. Like, congratulations, you're the winner, and that's it." So
It's the WeebCon treatment. No.
basically, yeah, everyone's like, well, why am I even bothering to like do this? Yeah, so they ended up not cosplaying at all.
Yeah, just be more comfortable, honestly, when you go. No, but that's interesting about the press experiences. So obviously you have started, not started, that's not the right word, but I would say maybe in the past, like maybe 4 or 5 years, you started to go to international conventions more and more as a press and as a guest. Even like sometimes you're not listed as press, you're listed as a guest at the convention that's doing press,
Yeah,
right? And so I've seen like well, I think the big one for me that when you posted this on Facebook, on like I think just our normal Facebook, you were like, "Oh, going to New Zealand." And I was like, "Excuse me? The fuck?"
yeah, yeah. I've been trying over the past few years, just try to like expand the footprint of the coverage a little bit, just to get it more out there, and we've done a pretty good job of doing that. Definitely looking at my YouTube traffic. You know, number one in the audience is the United States, but number two I think is Canada, and then three is Germany. I think. Let me see here.
Oh.
Yeah, Germany's got. I've actually got pretty sizable viewership in Germany. Um, I think France is up there. I think Japan is up there too. So it's surprising to see where Russia's up there, which is interesting.
Wow.
Yeah,
Love.
I actually
I
do.
mean, maybe. I don't
And
know.
it's surprising I do get a lot of Russian commenters too.
Mhm.
On my YouTube page. So yeah, so knowing that there's a global audience really encouraged me to like reach out. Um, I had a friend at MCM who was
MCM London.
yeah. So I had a friend who lives in London at the time. I mean, he still lives there, but I was like, that'd be a good excuse to like go check out London and shoot internationally. So I did that. That was a huge success. I think that first time I went to London was 2019 and got like 1 million views on that video. And I think, and then I think in addition to that, trying to collaborate with, so kind of keeping my eye out for videographers that kind of match the aesthetic and the, my taste in videos like that I like to watch
Mhm.
myself. And so I started reaching out to them to kind of say, hey, would you love to collab? Definitely a lot of them are a little frustrated with, the lack of traction on their videos. So I'm just like, I have the platform. I'd be more than happy to feature your video on my channel. And since my channel is fully monetized, I'm more than happy to split the revenue with you guys too. So so there, yeah. So definitely, even to this day, I started reaching out, especially to conventions that I'd love to check out, but for whatever reason, time or feasibility, I can't make it. So yeah, so I've been fortunate to work with some amazing videographers who's covered some really cool moments for me that whether it be Japan or in Europe, or even in Texas when I'm not in Texas. Really thankful for the collaborations that I've been able to work with. Like recently, last week, I released a video from a talented videographer that I've been working with for a while. Omaru's Fed. He covered it's photography, little it's not really it's not a convention, but it's like a collaboration of cosplayers and photographers, and they meet up in like three little villas and cities in Italy, and yeah, so that's
Oh, I saw that.
yeah.
I saw the one from Italy, and I was like, it always takes me. I always get taken aback a little bit because I'm like, is Long in Italy right
Yes.
now? What's or not right now? The
Yeah.
videos come out, weeks later because it takes time to edit them together. But I'm always just like, where in the world
Yeah.
is Mineralblu? Like,
Yeah.
what's happening?
So yeah, and sometimes people don't. I mean, I try to. I mean, it's labeled literally clearly in the corner, the collaboration. But people and they watch the content regardless. So at this point, Mineral Blue as a network, whether it's filmed by myself or filmed by any number of people that I collaborate with, it's kind of taken on the life of its own in terms of a brand.
Right. No, I see that too. Um, are there any conventions you've yet to go to that you really want to go to badly? That like you haven't gotten the chance because they're too far away, or they just haven't worked in your schedule, or even small cons that like you just want to go to for fun?
Um, yeah, there's something. I mean, for the collaborations that I've done, I definitely would love to check those out myself. I know Delcami is in Germany. It's in Dusseldorf. It's another like invite like collaboration, like the Italy thing, where they invite like
Mm-hmm.
photographers and cosplayers, and they do like cool backdrops. I mean, that would be really cool to do. I'd love to go back to London. I might go back this fall because MCM does it twice a year. Japan Expo is being covered by someone in Paris. That looks, from what I've seen, last year's video was amazing. I'd like to reach out to Asia, but I'm uncertain about the culture there a little bit, at least from the cosplay standpoint.
Oh, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Different, right? So I don't know if you've seen footage from like Japan or Korea, but especially with Japan, like I don't know, it's different, right? So the cosplayers there, sometimes either they're more focused on photo books, I guess, or selling from their booths, than as opposed to like just hanging out. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
at least that's from my initial impression. Um, or like if there is a really popular cosplayer, it, the etiquette is like for a bunch of photographers to form like a giant like circle.
Surround them, right?
Yeah. So
Like a gaggle, like it's
yeah,
like paparazzi at the Met Gala, and then just to circle them and sit there and
yeah.
take
So it's like a
photos.
different culture in general. I don't know how, and then also from the social media standpoint, I don't know how many of them are all on Instagram. I know last time I've had interactions with Japanese cosplayers, a lot of them are on Twitter or X now.
Mm,
So it's like, and then obviously if you go to China, their whole social media system is different. Yeah.
right.
So I recently reached out. I recently started a partnership with an Asian media group that will re-upload my videos in China on their networks.
Oh,
So and do some revenue sharing there. It's still in its infancy stages, but we'll see how that goes. But if you ever see a video of mine on the Chinese website, like I forgot what the Youku or Weibo, those Chinese social media sites, then it, hopefully it's one of the authorized outlets that I signed on with. So we'll see.
oh my gosh. So when I said media mogul, I wasn't even lying. I said it girl of photography and media mogul.
Yeah,
So far, we've checked both those boxes. Let's see how many more we can get before the end of
yeah. So
this.
then also, I mean, my friend lives in Korea right now, so I'd love to kind of maybe check that out. But also, it's yeah, I don't know about Korea at this point. I'd love to check it out, but the beauty standards in Korea are a little bit different than they are in the West.
Oh, what do you mean?
And,
Oh, I know what you mean, but like, what do
yeah.
you mean when as it pertains to cosplay photography?
So, so there's a certain aesthetic, I guess, with Korean beauty standards. So they want to look a certain way with a certain,
Mm-hmm.
physique or body type, and so I think from the West, at least in my videos, I'm not one. Obviously, I'm not gonna lie. I do feature attractive people in my videos, but it's not like
Thank you. No, I'm
I
kidding.
mean, it's not like I'm saying no to like everyone, right? Just yeah.
Right. No,
So,
of course.
but I feel like the filter, figuratively and physically, is much more stringent in Korea. I think when it comes to beauty and being seen in public and things like that. So I don't know. It'd be interesting if I do go to check it out. It'll be interesting to see how the culture is a little different or the same, whether or not I could be proven wrong. But that's something that definitely I'd love to see. But I really don't see anybody covering Asia on a videography a cosplay video standpoint, at the very least, at least from a documentary style that I'm doing.
Well, yeah, exactly. I don't see any either. And when I was talking to Jenny on a previous episode, Jenny Belly, she said, well, she was talking about cosplaying in Korea, but she hasn't even been to a Korean convention before. And I was also saying, like, I feel like it's a black hole, if you will, in terms of I don't know what goes on. And like Japan's a little more obvious because there is a little bit of coverage from Japanese conventions, not so much, but like a little. And the cosplayers have to go with their costume like in a suitcase and change like at the convention in like a dressing room, because going in public in cosplay everywhere is not necessarily the most like accepted or normal thing.
Yeah.
And then I've seen the surrounds of like the photographers taking pictures of the cosplay girl standing there. But yeah, in Korea I have no idea, and then in China I've no idea.
I mean,
So
I know there's amazing cosplayers in China, but because Google banned over there, and I'm pretty sure they don't. I don't think they definitely don't have Facebook unless you're on VPN.
Mm-mm.
I mean, the social networks over there are their own bubble basically, and so it was interesting to see that I was allowed an opportunity to at least re-upload my videos on their networks through an agent, and then I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
it's I'd like to be able to reach out there, but then obviously in other parts of the world, I was trying to get invited to go to like Comic-Con Africa. That was another cool thing. So that's in South Africa, in Johannesburg. Yeah, Johannesburg. So,
yeah,
but that was
sounds about right.
pre-COVID. Those things kind of fell through. But I'd love to go check that out someday. I know I was in talks to go to Central Asia. I know it was kind of weird, but there was one convention out of Kazakhstan that I was discussing with, but that kind of fell through. But you never know. Yeah.
What city?
Do you
remember?
That's a good question. Let's see here.
Oh my god, I was just so interested.
And there was, you know what? Honestly, there was a music video. There was a cosplay video that was made out of that convention. Let me see here.
I'm like so curious because like you said Central Asia, and I was like, Central Asia, what does that even look like? And then I was like thinking like Kazakhstan, no way. And then when you said that, I was like, oh, that's crazy. Oh, yeah. There's Comic-Con Astana.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, there's videos on YouTube for that convention as well. Yeah.
Wow.
No, it's in
55 days. It's in July 25th.
The quality of the cosplay looked pretty decent. So yeah. But I mean, in general, that I know Russian cosplay is a pretty good scene in general.
Oh, the Russians have been going off for years, ever since, like literally going back even to like when I first started. The Russians, and I don't even know, social media wasn't even like Instagram wasn't.
So they
really,
had some amazing photography too going on over there.
Yeah.
And I know that even with regards to whatever global politics are going on, Russians, Eastern Europeans, even Ukrainians and Russians both alike have an amazing group of Lithuanians, I think, Latvians. I've seen some amazing cosplayers come out and photographers come out of there in all of those regions. So,
oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we're buying the cosplays from them and then entering them in contests, right?
That's all coming from Alibaba, right? I mean, at least that's where all the Genshin cosplays are coming from.
Oh yeah, literally. Yeah, I know.
Because everyone's like, and I've had friends that are willing to make cosplays from like Genshin and stuff, and they're like, but why when I could get a really good quality one off of Alibaba now?
Very that, because honestly, like, okay, with Genshin, it's always been like, you look at the costumes you can get on Alibaba, AliExpress, Taobao, even like Doki Doki, all those ones, and the quality of the costumes, especially in a photo, are going to do about the same as a handmade costume.
We used to make fun of the quality, but honestly, nowadays, it's actually pretty good.
It's kind of a slay. I know. So there are some things like the hardware and stuff could be redone. Like I think when people want to cosplay from Genshin, I tell them, number one, if they have it in your size, because obviously size inclusivity is not always a thing, but if they have it in your size, just buy it from online and then get someone that you know or do it yourself to 3D model or make all of the hardware, and then just replace the hardware, because that's the only thing on these costumes that sometimes I think is like a little bit chintzy.
Yeah.
But if you went and you like modeled that, printed that, and then attached it to the fabric and all the sewn pieces, you'd be golden, because like those costumes are stunning, and a lot of the times they look phenomenal in photos for sure. So
Yeah.
even in person. Okay, I want to actually throw back real quick. Do you remember when we used to have the Houston cosplay meetups in like the park?
In the park?
When like we would have a bunch of cosplayers and a bunch of photographers, and we would all just randomly,
Yeah.
not attached to a convention, just go out somewhere, like to like
Remember we went to like
Herman Park or
the
somewhere.
Japanese garden one?
Yeah.
Hey.
And we would just take photos. Whatever happened to that? Because I tell people about that sometimes, and I'm like, back in the old times, we used to just do that and get photos that way. But that just completely, I feel like, went away. Or are people still doing it and we don't know about it? Or like, what happened?
Like, I know everyone's kind of compartmentalized it. Yes, it's not on Facebook as much anymore, but like I know some like small groups of cosplayers are getting together, like in 5 or 6 people, getting together and doing like a little pool shoot here or like a little location
Sure.
there. As a larger and mass group, no, definitely. I mean, it definitely hasn't been anything like that recently.
Yeah, because I remember we used to like show up and we weren't even cosplaying from the same things at all. You might not have even known the other people, and there'd be like a bunch of photographers that you may or may not have known either, and you'd all just show up. And I feel like we made a lot of connections and friends through those situations.
Yeah,
But I also feel like on the flip side, a lot of the people that I met through those situations have like dropped out of cosplay, like
yeah.
dropped out of the cosplay scene.
I think part of that is like the people that I know that still do that. They are primarily and have always been and will be photographers only. All right, so
Mhm.
they are shooting and they're shooting to give you guys photo sets. Me personally, I haven't been involved in that because I am focused on convention scene, the
Right.
videos, and so like if I went to those nowadays, I would just hang out. Like there's nothing for me to
Well,
shoot really.
I feel like the big ones don't even, I mean, maybe I'm just oblivious to all of it, but I feel like the big ones don't even happen anymore. Like what you said is so true. Like there'll be like a photographer and there'll be like 5 or 6 people that are all cosplaying from the same thing, and they'll meet up somewhere in like a private or public
Mhm.
place, but sometimes private, and do a photo shoot. But I don't see like the big like mass,
No,
like, oh, we're all going to go
it's
to the
definitely
park.
broken off into like more. I mean, for better or for worse, not saying that's a bad thing, but everyone's dropped off into like more cliques. I guess small cliques as opposed to more
Mm,
of a community. Um, and I think that's for a variety of reasons. I mean, like in Houston specifically, I think the community from especially from the older generation is more fractured now. There might be like younger ones doing their own thing. Um, for all I know that we're not aware of. I know that in Chicago, a bunch of them got together to basically do. It a friend of mine. He's a photographer, Felix Standy, and they basically did a
oh,
Felix Con, basically.
where?
So
Do you
it was in
know? Like where in
Chicago. So
Chicago?
they shot like a bunch of people flew into Chicago and like did photo shoot, basically.
Like in the park, or where was it? Do you know?
Um, I don't know where they went. Like, I saw like a bunch of different venues. Like one was like an abandoned building. I saw my friend Starbucks do a shoot on the lake, and so yeah, they did like a bunch of cool little things. And I had another friend that did her. She's a cosplayer. They did she did her own little convention. So people flew into like I think it was in SoCal or somewhere in the desert in California. And they went to like this little western town, which is
What?
abandoned western place, and did like a cowboy like shoot there. And so yeah, people are doing it. It's they're more like it's not really open to the public, but it's more like
Right.
groups of friends getting together, which is fine.
Well, also a lot of that level of coordination also requires a level of financial commitment to and planning, because if you're all going somewhere, like you're going to like a cabin in Colorado, you have to like have those people signed up and have like the follow through to actually get there, and then also like participate in like paying for like the cabin, or
Yeah,
like doing like whatever you need to do. Like there's some degree of like mutual responsibility that you have to have when it's that kind of situation,
yeah,
as opposed to just showing up to the park, you know?
yeah. Um, Yeah, I mean, your mileage will vary depending on your group, depending on who you're hanging out with, what city you're in. There's a million reasons why certain groups coalesce and certain groups don't, basically.
Right. Right. No, it makes sense. I was just reminiscing on all of it. Also, one more reminiscence before we go to our guest question. I found a video on your YouTube from 2015 from Markiplier at Southwest, Pack South, to Heather and Hope, to Twins at Cosplay, formerly Hee and Hopi. Literally, I was like, what is this? And it was like Markiplier being like, hi. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
What's the story there? I want to know just for my own
I just
selfish reasons.
remember them being a really big fan of his, and so I just remember it was a good opportunity to like get a quick video clip. I did like a little derby video with him, and then I was like, "Hey, do you mind if I get a quick shout out to them?" And they're like, "Yeah." So we made a little video clip, and I sent it to them. You know, made them really happy. So
That's so cute. I love that. Oh, also, one more thing I just remembered. You have been collecting celebrities smacking the shit out of you in photos for like a decade at this
so
point. How did that start?
it was
Gotcha.
Wizard World Austin. It was the first and only time that I signed on as a staff photographer. So it wasn't press really. I was staffed for the con. So I was actually the only time that I was shooting as an official con staff person, which
Oh.
on the bright side, allowed me unfettered access to every panel and every celebrity. So it wasn't just you're not allowed to shoot here. I'm with the con. Okay, fine. So I was able to shoot like during a panel. I was shooting like John Cena, like when he was talking, things like that. Um, of course, there was no editing involved. I just gave them my memory card and they uploaded everything to their website. So
Was that kind of nice
it
though?
was
Just giving
yeah, it
them
was
your memory
fine. I
card
mean,
and
it
being
was
like done with
at
it.
the time I was like, oh, cool, I get a free badge out of it. It was like work, right? So it was like shooting like
Yeah.
different things. But I remember being in line because at the time Walking Dead was like a big deal. And so this was like 2013, 2012. And Norman Reedus was a celebrity with photo op. And I was like, oh, this would be kind of cool to get a photo with Norman Reedus. I thought, you know, Daryl Dixon was the coolest character on the show at the time. I was like, I'm gonna get a photo with him. So hadn't gotten a photo like that before with anybody, like celebrity photo. And so I was like,
Right.
I was sitting in line. I was like, oh, man, what are we gonna do? Like, should I just get a photo with him? Like, am I just standing next to him like a family member in the photo?
Like a little
Like
dweeb,
what's going
just
on?
like,
I don't know what's going
hello,
on. And so I was like, okay, well,
I'm here.
maybe I bought a Walking Dead comic book compendium that maybe I could like pose with him in the photo. And I was like, maybe I should do something more interesting. So for some reason, I don't know how it got into my head. I was like, hey, can you just pretend like you're punching me? He was just being like his cool like self. He was like, whatever, dude. I mean, so he's like, but you know, like if you go back to my profile pics, you'll find that Daryl Dixon, that Norman Reedus photo, and he's just like wearing sunglasses. He's just like nonchalantly throwing his fist out, and I was like, all right, that's cool. And then I think a couple months later, Space City Comic Con came to like Galveston,
Mm-hmm.
and this was before he became big, but this is when he was freshly killed on Game of Thrones. It was Jason Momoa, and
Mm.
he was just doing his photo op there, and I was like, "Hey, do you mind if like if you pretend to like punch me?" And he was like, "I can do more than pretend." But he was like, if you look at that photo, he like really got into it. And it just became a thing. Like I was like, you know what, this will be my thing. I'm just gonna have people punch me in their celebrity photos. Yeah, so almost everybody since then has punched me. I think there was one, it was Amelia Clark, where she was just like kind of, they were just kind of rushing us through. And I think I had a Starbucks cup, and I was like, you're just pose with the Starbucks cup. That was about it. But
Oh, as a joke for
yeah,
the yeah.
yeah. But everything else was like a punch, I think. So yeah, I've been, and I really should make these public. I should put them in like a public photo album on my Facebook page or something.
You no, you should put them in a public album, or put them on your website.
Yeah, I could do that.
Like that would be
Yeah, because right now they're just in a private, like under my profile pics under my Facebook page. But if people want to
right.
see it, I'll probably post it to my fan page on Facebook, or I'll put it on the website as well. Because yeah, there's got to be
You should.
yeah, because yeah, I mean over the years I've had like you said, I've had a plethora of people punch me. Um, I think my favorites, definitely my favorites. I had a celebrity crush on Karen Gillan, who plays Nebula on Guardians of the Galaxy. She was Amy
Oh,
Pond on Doctor Who. She was a bunch of things. So it was kind of a running gag where like. I was like, oh, punch me. And then I saw her. I went to another convention. I was like, hey, can you punch me again? And then I think eventually I was like, okay, let me print the photos out that she punched me in, and then have her punch me while I'm holding the photos of her punching me. And eventually it was like, it became a running thing where I think she recognized me at some point. And I think by the fifth or sixth time, she's like, all right, what are we doing this time? Like, cause literally I had like a whole stack of, I taped the photos together like an accordion. And basically I just
oh my
dropped them out
God.
and everyone's like laughing and she's like, oh my God. Like, so like the last time she punched me, she's like, she showed her parent, cause her parents are like in the room with us. And she's like, look at this guy. And I was like, hey, punch me again. Like some weird, weird sadistic
That is
thing.
so funny. Well, okay, because okay, my first reaction goes to thinking like, okay, you know how like some of the cosplayers do like the step on me
Yeah.
thing. That's my first. Well, because that's not what I thought of. Because from
Yeah.
the very beginning, it was like all these like. First of all, how it started, right? But then also it's like when you see these photos, it's very like slapstick, like very like hilarious, like. But honestly, I wonder if they think that. But also the funnier thing is that they have no idea, like who you
Oh yeah.
are or why you're there. They don't know that
It's a
like
split
you're like a
second. Like,
cosplay.
I mean, I'm like
Yeah,
number 200 out of like 1,000 people that they're
yeah.
taking photos with, and like, hey, next, next, next. Some of them are more into it than others, obviously, depending on whatever circumstances they were going through. And then some of them are like way older than others. Like Stan Lee was like super old by the time he did it to me.
Did you meet him at Comic Palooza?
And also Dallas, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I met him at Comic Palooza, but yeah, he was like definitely sitting in
Yeah.
a
And
chair.
then he was sitting in a chair, but he still was able to throw a punch at me. And then I met Chuck Norris at Comic Palooza. Like he threw a punch at me. So that was really fun. Yeah, so yeah, it's like a nice little collection that I have.
That's so fucking weird. It's so funny. And I love it. And I love it. Okay, so we're gonna go to our question for our that was submitted for our guest, and actually I've saved this one for you, hoping that we'd actually get the episode to work out because it's a photography. It's perfect for you, and it's easy. It's not going to be anything challenging, I don't
Okay.
think. So, hi Cosplay Crunch. With short format videos becoming dominant on social media, I have found myself wanting to try to document my costumes in video format rather than just the traditional photos.
Okay.
However, I don't know where to begin and how to pose myself for the camera. I feel like I come off as stiff as a dead fish with with an expression to match. What are some tips that you have for not looking awkward in cosplay when making a short video shoot in a convention hallway or even a longer one with a set? Thank you.
So that's definitely pertinent to a lot of stuff I do because I have considered doing like short form versus long form. Dabbled in reels and TikToks, but as a content creator myself, I'm not the one in front of the camera, so it's easy for me to like cut my long form videos.
Sure.
Obviously, I've seen a lot of cosplayers become really popular and really successful with their own little clips just by doing little skits, little things here and there. They're either doing it for comedic effects or for dramatic effects. I follow a bunch of people on Instagram and TikTok that I love their content from a short format standpoint. Some of the what that come to mind are like Fear Fiction. She lives in Vancouver. She does amazing like little skits with her characters. Like it's literally like a 15-second little, she's in character. She's acting as Nana or whatever character that she's doing. And the lighting is all dramatic and moody. And she's in character.
Where is she filming it? Is it like a backdrop
So
or is it like a set or
she's in her room, but she has like lighting, like really good lighting. Like so, she has a really good set. If you go to her Instagram, Pure Fiction, you'll see what I mean. Like it's nothing fancy from a set standpoint, but she has a really a good sense of photography in terms of lighting, how to use the lights. Like she uses like maybe 3 LED lights that give her the color and the depth that she wants in her cosplay. but you don't have to go that fancy. I mean, there's others cosplayers that I absolutely adore their content, and they're just doing silly little things. Like I'm trying to think. Carmen Cosplays, I think, is one that I follow, or Lohi, or her friend Lohi. But basically, they're just doing like little skits. Like they're in cosplay. Like they could be like, they could be Gojo and what's this?
The other
The
one
other one.
from Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah. And so they're playing off on the the dancing thing, or they're being silly, or they're being kind of homosexual with each other, or they're doing
Mm-hmm.
whatever they want to do, but it's all for like effect. Or they'll do like little skips where like they get random audio from like dialogue from different things, but they put those two in that situation, and it's just hilarious to like watch it. And so whatever you feel comfortable making, like you said, it can be a little awkward, especially if you're just by yourself and you're making your own cosplay and you're like, how do I
Mm-hmm.
showcase this cosplay? But if you frame it in such a way that you want to see it and other people want to see it and keep wanting to see it, whether it be like a little skit, a little dance. Plenty of cosplayers are doing dances. And I saw a bunch of cosplayers recently post from MomoCon, and their entire content is just doing like little dances. And they could be the same dances that have been trending for months, but they're doing it in their cosplay. So, it's fun to watch, basically.
I think from all what you just said, it's kind of interesting because for me, I think when I see these videos, I have all these ideas for the characters I have cosplayed or want to cosplay. But then it always comes down to like all of these, or almost all of these, are being shot in someone's house, right? They're getting dressed up in cosplay at
Yeah.
home. And the thought of me getting into full cosplay at home for some reason makes me want to crawl out of my skin and into a
Yeah.
dumpster. Like I for some reason can't, like, for me, I don't know, maybe it's just the old school like nature of like, oh, you go to the convention, you get dressed in the hotel room, like you go down to their photo shoot. Like that's very ingrained into my like my spirit and my being,
Yeah.
that getting in cosplay at home, unless I'm trying something on, just seems so out of the picture.
Well,
But what you're
they'll
saying
even
makes
do like
sense.
bloopers, and just the dumbest things, but from a short format thing, I mean, they're just doing like little dances, like little things like this, right? So, I
Yeah.
mean, it's just simple things like that where they're just dancing for like 5 minutes, or they'll just do like little dialogue where they're just sitting in their car, in the character, and just doing like funny little skits, right? So it's just stupid little things that bring a smile to people's faces. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. I mean, literally, it's like people are doing stuff like in their front yard, basically, right? So it's just,
Right.
like they're just counting the ten and doing a hide and seek. Yeah, yeah, it's just,
No,
yeah,
literally.
literally stupid little things like that.
Big deal.
But yeah, so that's the thing. I find that whether it be long form YouTube or TikTok or whatever, people find what they enjoy doing. I enjoy making like 15-minute, 20-minute long cosplay, odes to everyone's cosplays at a convention. Other people like making 30 10-second clips of them doing stupid
Mhm.
things in their Jujutsu Kaisen cosplays, or whatever cosplay that they're doing. I think the most important thing is that you do what you find interesting to yourself, because at the end of the day, whether or not anyone else is watching, you're the one that's going to be watching it. And so if you don't enjoy watching yourself, then who else is going to watch it, right? I mean, I enjoy watching my own videos. And so
Yeah.
if I was making these 20-minute videos and I didn't enjoy watching them, then I wouldn't expect anyone else to watch them either. So, yeah.
Right. No, I would say that I agree. When I listen to these podcast episodes, they don't quite make me want to unalive myself, but almost. No, okay.
Yeah.
No, so like one more question. If so, when Mineral Blue approaches dead fish question asker at the anime convention, and you have your tripod or your gimbal or whatever, and you say, hey, can I get a can I get a quick video of your cosplay? What are some tips for that cosplayer in that moment when the videographer comes up to them and says, hey, can I get some video of you? Like, what do you want them to do? Like, what are some general advice? Like, not knowing the costume, not knowing the prop situation, just like what are some general thoughts?
I mean, me personally, I try to make it as pain-free as possible for people. So no matter what situation, wherever I am, I try to catch them at least in a flattering light. to make sure that whatever image that I'm capturing will make them feel good. Um, I just say, hey, right here is good. Just stay right there, stay in one spot. When I say 3, 2, 1 action, just give me like a little pose, shift your weight a little bit, just look at the camera, it doesn't have, don't make a big deal out of it because it's literally only like 4 or 5 seconds of their time, but then I'm gonna slow it down 40%, and literally like one little turn, one little movement becomes
That's enough.
like a dramatic like look. Like it's crazy. Um, there's one like professional videographer that I follow who's taken this to the next degree, and he's doing it at like Oscars and Academy. He's doing it at the Emmys. But he has like a high speed camera on a rope.
The Glambot?
Yeah, the Glambot, right? So
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
So that's Cole. Cole Wallister. Anyway, so yeah, he's made his entire career now out of making Glambot videos, and that is his thing, where it's like literally the camera comes in, and he has like the bot has like maybe 3 or 4 different presets of movement, right? But he tells the celebrity, whoever it is, whether it's Lady Gaga or Brad Pitt or whoever is walking up on the red carpet, a billion things are going on, just like at a convention, right? So they're dressed up to the nines in their evening gowns and outfits, their tuxedos, just like cosplay. And he's got like 5 seconds to tell them, hey, you don't know who I am. At some point, he's famous enough now that they recognize him.
Now people know.
Hey,
yeah.
Lady Gaga comes like, I love you. What are we doing today? That's fine. But there's an up and coming, music star like Tiana or whatever her name is, or somebody new. They're like, hey, so what do we do? So he does a really masterful job in terms of basically doing what I do. They have a very limited amount of time. Like, hey, stand right here. The camera's going to be coming from this direction, coming right here. Give me what you got. Just a little turn, a little dress. Turn of the dress, maybe tuck your collar, pop your collar. Look at the camera. It's very, very carefree, low stress environment in a stressful environment, basically.
Right.
And the stuff that he comes up with, even if it is like on a robot arm on a multi-million-dollar camera, it's still at the core a very similar thing to what I do on my YouTube channel as well.
Right. So what you're saying is less is more a lot of the time. You'll give direction. Yeah. And just I guess try to be natural. I think that like relaxing your body is usually helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's from a cosplay standpoint, there's only so much you can do to control the output because you don't know who this guy is or girl who came up to you with a camera. In the limited amount of time that you have, if you don't know who they are, you have no idea what the quality of their work is. So, your motivation may be very low in terms of putting effort into this, video clip that they're doing. But you may be game for it. Who knows? This person may be an incredible photographer. So, as long as they're not dragging you away to like some random hallway for like the next hour and of your time and not giving you the photos or any way to find out where this footage will be ending up. Most professionals will give you good direction, and most professionals will be able to reach out to you or at least give you a way to find this information, this footage, or these photos that they're taking of you. And so that is one of my pet peeves is that when you encounter people at a convention, a lot of times people don't know your work. They don't know who you are, and so it's a little. You don't want to take too much of their time away from what they're doing. So it bothers me when certain photographers will take a cosplayer and like take him like off and like hog like 30-40 minutes of their time without any like promise of what is going to be the end product or how or whether or not they'll even see the end product. Granted, a lot of people will pre-arrange photo shoots, and that's fine. That's their time, and that's already been arranged, and that's professional agreement between people. But if you're just finding someone randomly in the hallway, I mean, try to make it as pain-free as quickly as possible because they don't know who you are. You just met this person for the first time. Make the most of the time that you have with them, but don't expect to take up too much of their time, basically.
Yeah, that makes sense. The only thing I am certifying and want guarantee on now is at least one photo from the Mineralblu at Anime Expo. I have to. You have to capture me in my fleeting one moment of fame I'll ever have.
Oh my god, yeah. You'll find me there. I mean, I'm usually, you know where to find me. I'm always there's not.
Well, I don't know if I'm gonna be stuck. Well, I don't know. I don't think I'll be stuck in
You shouldn't be.
the entertainment
Not the
hall.
entire
I think I
time.
can go around.
You
Yeah,
can take
yeah,
breaks. Yes,
yeah. I'll take breaks. I need to see the people. I need to see the
you can take
place at
breaks.
the very
Yeah.
least.
And you should
Yeah,
be right across from the photo sets.
yeah. And Hoyoverse. I
Yeah.
looked that up too.
Yeah. So the photo sets are a pretty popular place. So if anything, I can just come to you. If you want.
Yeah, that's true. That's they from I looked at a map because I've never been to Anime Expo before, so I was trying to get my bearings on the website, and then they have like the whole entertainment hall with all like the companies it looked like,
Yeah. So
and then they had like the cosplay sets and like the cosplay senpais and the
if you've
cosplay
never been to Anime
repair.
Expo before, um, if you watch my videos, there's two primary areas where people do photos. So
Uh-huh.
definitely not the photo set. Although
Yeah.
I have shot at the photo sets, but most people will linger around the main atrium, which is the giant glass atrium where everyone just stands basically all day. During the day, it's really nice lighting in there. So if you're inside the convention, that's where you want
Is
to.
it hot?
Not really. No,
Okay,
it's
good.
indoors. All right. So if you're inside the convention, that's where you want to be for photos and video. During the daytime, a lot of people are there. As the convention comes to a close and golden hour sets, people might all the people that want to get photos will migrate towards the horseshoe area, which is the
Horse.
sidewalk area between the convention center and like the Staples Center.
Okay.
So there's a little garden sidewalk area in between the convention center. There's like right outside the parking garage, and basically it's called that because there are these giant horseshoes that are in the bushes, basically. But basically, it's a nice little gathering of people just kind of chill, and that's where the golden light looks amazing. Like the light is bouncing around. And if you watch my video, you'll see there's like an area of like sidewalk slash foliage that that is outside. That's where people shoot.
Gotcha. Okay, so catch me going on to the Mineralblu YouTube channel after this and watching all the Anime
Yeah.
Expo coverages over the years because I need to
So if
know.
you watch the Anime Expo videos, you'll find that there are two primary areas for people to shoot. It's the main atrium indoors, and then there's the horseshoe garden area right outside the parking garage.
It looks huge. Everything just looks huge. The scale of this convention looks like it's going to be exhausting, but I'm excited. I'm excited. It
I mean,
just
it's an
looks
amazing artist
crazy.
alley. It's just too much. It can be
Yeah.
too much, especially if you don't like tight spaces, and the air conditioning is not the greatest down there either. So
My favorite. I need an ice
the
box. I was
vendor hall
told
is
that.
nice. The actual
I was told, yeah, the vendor hall and the entertainment hall.
the
I was
vendor
told there
hall
are
and
like
the
ice
entertainment
boxes.
hall is nice actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and if you are into cosplay, that matching the photo set, the photo sets are great.
If you can make it work,
Yeah, I
right?
mean like
Yeah.
there's usually like a bleacher set for like the more sporty animes. There's like usually a school set for like the classroom set for like all the school animes and school roles and things like that.
Well, Long, that's everything I had to cover, and I'm so happy that we did. I'm proud of myself actually. I had like a full like list of stuff to go through, and I managed.
Nice.
So thank you so much for
Yeah, it
coming
was
and
fun.
being on.
Yeah, I hope
It
everyone.
was really easy, I
Yeah, I
hope.
hope everyone who listened had fun listening to this too.
And if they didn't, I don't care because this is for me. Uh,
Yeah, I apologize for the video quality cutting down to like webcam quality about a third of the way
oh,
in,
girl,
but
it's fine. It's fine. You know what they get is the motto here, at least on season one, and we're technically putting something into the
yeah.
universe.
Well,
So no,
hopefully
it's all
most people are
good.
just listening to this in their cars, so it's not a big deal.
That's the goal. That's how I think most people probably will listen. But no, I'll go through the outro and then I'll come to you at the end to everything. So thank you for joining another episode of the Cosplay Crunch. If you would like to ask a question to one of our guests, please email us at cosplaycrunchpod@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Instagram at Cosplay Crunch Podcast for the latest news and announcements, as well on cosplaycrunch.com and on YouTube at the Cosplay Crunch Podcast. Also, rate us on Spotify or Apple, but I care about Spotify mostly because that's what I listen to. And like I said before, we're going to do a giveaway probably Probably after the season finale, which is next episode, which is kind of crazy. And I'm gonna want to see you rate this podcast episode. We're gonna do gift cards, we're gonna do merch. It'll be really cute, it'll be really fun. And I have time to check every single DM to see if you've rated it. I'm not even gonna use bots because there aren't too many of us yet, so I can check one by one. But no, that would mean a lot. It would help the episode. Mineralblu, do you have any parting words for our listeners, and where can they find you across the internet spaces, and where can they find you at the next convention?
Oh, so you usually find me at if you've seen a video of mine, it's usually a convention that I'll be at in the future. Usually, coming up, I'll be at Fan Expo Dallas in about a week or so. And then after that, I'll be hitting up in July the California convention circuit, which is Anime Expo and San Diego Comic-Con. In August, you will find me maybe at Colossal Comic Sections. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe. We'll see. At Anime New York City, I will definitely be there in August. It's in the summer this time, so it's not going to be cold.
Oh.
It's going to be hot garbage in New York this year.
Yeah, hot, sweaty, stinky garbage.
September, you'll find me in Dragon Con. Every year I'm at Dragon Con. I have a legacy room there. I can't miss Dragon Con, which makes me kind of sad because I go to Dragon Con now, I'll be missing out on San Japan because San Japan was fun. Last time I went.
Yeah, I whore that convention out every single day on this podcast. It's so fun.
It's fun.
Like, I would say, okay, Dragon Con obviously for all of it, right? But for a Texas local convention, even a convention in San Japan,
if it wasn't for Dragon Con, I would go to San Japan every year. But I mean, I had the responsibility of a hotel room at Dragon Con now, so it's like
you do. You have to foster that like a baby.
Yeah. And then I'll be at New York Comic Con in October. I think that's all I can think of right now off the top of my head. Yeah. I think I'm usually at like Capcom. I'm usually I try to go to the bigger cons like WonderCon, Capcom, Anime Expo, just from a viewership standpoint. It makes it worthwhile.
Right.
Because I do have to balance out cost versus benefit as well, as you say. I will try to make it to London in October. We'll see. If you want to keep up with me on the socials, obviously my bread and butter is my YouTube channel, so Mineralblu on YouTube. I also I'm pretty active on Instagram, on Mineralblu and Instagram. I am on TikTok. I'm Mineralblu on everything, basically, but I'm on TikTok as well, but I'm not as active there for whatever reason. The algorithm's kind of...
Well, it's fine. It's going away.
It's a little wonky.
It's going away anyway, so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, so mainly you can find me on Instagram and YouTube, and the occasional contributing post to Kotaku.
And on your website in the future, in case you post your photos of you getting smacked in the face.
Oh yes, yeah. So, and I am on Facebook as well, as Mineralblu. So yeah, but the most active spots you'll find me are daily, probably are Instagram, and then the long format videos are YouTube. And so definitely appreciate any views that you can give, like, subscribe, comment on YouTube. Yes, honestly.
Go comment that you came from the Cosplay Crunch and you think his video's grainy.
Oh gosh. So definitely subscribe to both of our channels on YouTube.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being on the pod on the first season. It means a lot, and I had a great time catching up and learning more about you and how you started and everything. All these questions that never really come up in conversation when you're at a casino playing blackjack. Funny enough.
Yeah, I play poker, not blackjack.
Okay, and roulette sometimes,
and then win
craps. Oh, craps! You're right.
Craps
it was
poker.
Craps.
Yes, I am a degenerate at heart. Yeah.
Anyways, until next time, we will see you on episode 14. Goodbye. The Cosplay Crunch podcast is hosted by Zavage Cosplay, with post-production also by Zavage Cosplay. Original theme music by Katie Fairbanks. Logo and graphic design by Owl and Coffee.